Okay, so I've got my animation working the way I want. I've saved it as a GIF to the desktop. It's named with my name. So all that's good. What do I do now? Now, I go back to my stage file, and I'm going to turn this and save it with a new name into a final storyboard that uses frames from my story. The problem is I have 54 frames, right? And I need to choose only 9 of those. And my frames, some of them are like transparent. Some of them use multiple layers to be made, even though mine's pretty straightforward. So to take care of all those problems, as long as my animation is what I want, I'm going to now go to the window options within the timeline, and instead of make frames from layers, I am going to flatten frames into layers. So when I click that, it will create a whole new set of layers on top of my old layers that are named frame 1 through 54. It's a good thing. Now, now I can click on the frames in the timeline because I'm going to be making changes to the layers, and I drag them to the trash. Then I can go, because I don't need any of these other layers besides frames 1 through 54. Now I can go to layers, the layers underneath, all the way down to my background layer and delete those. Okay, so now I just have 54 100% flattened frames. Okay. So what's the easiest frame to identify within my sketch? The first one. First one's very easy. So frame 1 is my first frame. It's the first keyframe I built. Now I want to build paper around this, a format around this. So what I'm going to do is say image canvas size, and I'm going to grow it to be 30 inches, this will be very familiar to you, by 40 inches. 40 inches tall, 30 inches wide. And I want my frame to be dead center. I hit Command 0. I can put the timeline here on the side. All right. Now I have 54 frames with a lot of space around them. So what am I going to do? Well, I don't want frame 1 to be right in the middle. I want it to be up in this corner. So what do I need to do? Well, I can create a new layer, run it behind frame 1, and say edit fill with white so I can see what I'm doing. 100% white. Then I can go back to frame 1. I can use my guides to stick to the edges of frame 1. And I'm going to create a layout template. This might be the first, this is the first time we've created a layout template. So now I know how to line frames up with this, but I need some space. I need gutters between each one. So I'm going to turn on my grid, which is command comma, not command comma, command apostrophe. I've turned on my grid, and if I've done 8 by 8 inches, what I want to do is go 2 of these little squares, which are each 1/4 of an inch, and move a guide a 1/2 inch on each side. So 2 little squares on each side of my center frame. Now I can turn off with command apostrophe the guides, and you see now I have a template for all of them. That seems actually a little close. Let's go a full inch. So a full 4. To the boulder line. So now I have a template with a full inch. I'm sorry, full 1/2 inch. No, a full inch. Yeah, that's correct. Between each one. Because remember, this is 30 by 40 inches, but it's also only 150 pixels per inch. So when we print it, we'll print it at 1/2 the size so that it's full resolution of at least 300 pixels per inch. Complicated, but it works. All right, now what do I do with frame 1? I use my move tool and I move it up into that top spot, right? Now all of my other frames, and it will nest there, all of my other frames will be in the middle. So I have to find first my center frame, where things start to melt. And this looks like a good one. I'll leave that and I'll mark it. That's my center frame. Then I need to find my frames that go before that. So maybe this frame, and then I have layer select turned off. So maybe there introduces the character, right? Then maybe here, deal from the bottom of the deck. He's climbing up, nice hero shot. If I don't like that one, I can go one more. Like that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. You can't really tell that the stars are moving, but they are, right? But this isn't the most dramatic part. Then maybe here. Yeah, the sun's starting to come out. Then, whoops, I have to select the layer in order to move. Whoops. There it is. So you're just choosing which 9 frames you want to show. And that's starting to zoom in and starting to brighten up. Yeah, I think that's a good one. All right. And you're just pulling them from the middle. Okay, that one's going to be a good next one. Really brightening up. And this took a long time. All these extra frames to animate. But I'm just picking the ones that tell my story the most clearly. And there he is. All right, so those are the 9 frames I want. It tells my story. I can hit Command semicolon to turn off the guides and see how it looks. Don't worry about the extra white space at the top and bottom. That actually will help us print it when we're printing it as an 8x10. And now I'm going to, this is very important, I don't want to overwrite my stage PSD. So if I just save this instead of save as, I will have lost my animation frames, right? So I want to say File, Save As, and save this instead as Carl Assignment 5 Final Storyboard. To the desktop or to your folder as a PSD, and then we're going to save it as a JPEG to upload. Because even though it's low res, it's a big file with a lot of layers still. And I'm going to keep all those layers in it in case I want to make adjustments to which frames I decide to use. Okay, so now File, Save As, JPEG to the desktop, Final Storyboard. And I don't want it to be more than 5 megabytes. I'll just do it right above 5 megabytes. Okay, now I can close these files, close Photoshop, identify the JPEGs you want to upload. And there's 3 things you're going to upload for this assignment. The first is your sketch, your storyboard sketch. Then it is your final storyboard, and then it will be your animated file. I go back and forth on how I order that, but I think that will be best. So let's go to Photo Bucket. Go into our library. Since everyone's doing it, it's a little slow. Go to Assignment 5. And you're going to go right to assignment 5 and upload there. I'm going to go to instructor demonstrations and upload there. Take those online formats. This is the first animation we've uploaded. Drag and drop them in. As long as it is 8 by 8 inches by 150 pixels per inch, and as long as you don't have over 100 frames of animation, it should go in pretty easily. Sometimes students will have like 150 frames of animation, then we have to shrink it to like 100 pixels per inch, so that it can be processed by PhotoBucket. It's just a size and a processing issue. But GIF animations do take a lot longer than flattened files because there's so many different layers embedded. Okay, once they're uploaded, there we go. Once they're uploaded, you're going to click on them and label them. So you start with your storyboard sketch. This is how you get credit for your work. You start with our semester code, SP17, and then just your first name, and then a 1 for your storyboard sketch. Please don't write anything more complicated than that, because it takes it out of alphabetical order. You're going to do the same thing, but with a 2 for your clean storyboard, and then the same thing with a 3 for your actual GIF animation, which I have to find here. Directly, there it is. And what I love about GIFs, even though they're only 256 colors, they just automatically play within an online format. So even their little previews will play. And sometimes they glitch. And with GIFs, you also get pixel slippage sometimes, which sounds bad. It sounds like that's what like yogurt causes. But what that means is like a whole row of pixels will just move over one, and you'll get little graphic glitches that way. But when it's always moving, it's pretty satisfying looking. And our full resolution is bigger than our screens, even just at 150 pixels per inch, because our screens are about 120. Okay, that's all there is to it. Then, of course, organize your files, because you might want to go back and work on this. So I have my assignment 5 folder. I want to put all the ones I submitted in there, and of course the final PSD. So I have a lot of PSD files here. I have my assets PSD, I have my assets 2 PSD after I zoomed in on everything, and I have my final storyboard PSD. And of course the final stage PSD. Now this is what I would go back to fix the actual animation to re-output. I could open the GIF as a Photoshop file and see the animated timeline that way, but everything would be very broken up into only 256 colors. So it's better to always output GIFs from PSD files. All right, that's all there is to it.